It's the Sean Widmer Podcast. It's a journal by someone that just really doesn't like to write.
Thank you for tuning in to the Sean Widmer Podcast. Hi, I clicked record before I was ready to go. But you know what? That's not going to stop the podcast from happening. Today on the podcast, why didn't I just do this on Christmas? We're going to talk a wee little bit of sports. We're going to recap a little bit of Christmas 2024 and a little bit more. I've got to remember that the reason I shouldn't have started all the way early yet, I forgot to write down what my Kelly's What Are You Into is. And now it's that weird thing where, do I just take a moment right now and think about it? Or do I try to remember it on the fly? I actually know what it is. I just needed to talk. I needed to stall for a second. We're back, baby. We're back. Okay. We start by thanking the Patreon members of the Sean Widmer Podcast over at patreon.com/Sean Widmer Podcast, making this possible, keeping this thing up and running. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And now we go to the second thing we do to kick off the podcast, which is go see 5-star reviews on iTunes. If there's a 5-star review, someone leaves a comment, we read the comment, and it sets the pace for the podcast. We haven't done that since October. We need some new blood. Where are you, new blood? I actually had a terrifying thing happen the other day at work. This is not the shout out. Now, you know what? This would be the shout out. Shout out to the boys at my work, Studio 46 boys, the warehouse boys. We were having a fun day at work, and we decided to congregate in this green room we have for lunch. All the warehouse boys went down and got lunch and brought it back. And we sat there. It was right before Christmas, and we just had a great lunch. But I joined late, and I got a text from Nathan, and he said, "Hey, get into the green room." So I walk in, I'm talking, and I'm not really paying attention. Everyone's kind of giggling. And I turn on and look at the TV, one of the TVs that's in the green room. They have found and are watching this podcast on YouTube. That's not good. That's not what I needed. I did not need to give these young bucks any more ammunition than they already have. And now they've got that to really come at me with. And I don't know that it's a great thing, but they've discovered it. And so shout out to the warehouse boys. Be nice to me. Or help me get better. Keep me entertaining for the youth, right? I've got to find some new listeners so we can have some more 5-star reviews on iTunes. We've used up everyone right now. All right. So shout out to the warehouse boys. They are the best. I'm a little terrified that they found this. Okay, before we get into Christmas, before we get into the thing that I can't believe I didn't do on the Christmas podcast, the Seahawks just won a football game. I would be bummed out tomorrow if I didn't at least say something about the Thursday night football game that the Seahawks just won, improved to 9-7, and are going to have a winning record at the end of the season. Mike McDonald will never have been under 500 at the end of a season so far as the head coach of the Seahawks. He's got a winning record, so that's good news. The problem was the final score was 6-3 against the Bears, who have lost 10 games in a row, I believe they said now. And yeah, that's not a good look. 6-3. But I am that kind of Seahawks fan. The game sucked. It was hard to watch. The offense for the Seahawks stunk. It was pouring rain. I love a good excuse. It was pouring rain. And so that's why the offense stunk. But the defense looked really good. And so that was good. Geno looks a little lost right now, but they won. Okay? And there have been a lot of games where Geno stinks, where it's raining, where they look like the worst team of all time, and they lose that game. They won today. So what that means is if the Rams lose somehow this weekend, I believe this is facts. If the Rams lose somehow this weekend to the Cardinals, we're in. We're in the playoffs. I believe that's correct. Division champs. Otherwise, it's going to come down, it looks like, to a Week 18 matchup against the Rams. I mean, it's setting us up for the fact that we can at least make the playoffs. Had to have the win tonight. They got it. So the Seahawks stay alive. Ugly game. The nation hates the Seahawks now because they provided you with a terrible reason to stay up on a Thursday night and watch football. But as a Seahawks fan, a win is a win, and there have been plenty of games that were high scoring and very fun to watch that ended up in a loss, and those suck worse. So that's where we're at. Okay, Why didn't I do this on the Christmas podcast? I'm so mad about it. It was written on my prep sheet as this next week is the most important week of your year. That's how I had it written right here on my notes. It's there now. And I was real excited about this because this is an opinion I've had that I'd roll out there every now and then on the radio when I was working on the radio and talk to the fellas about it. And today, as I'm getting ready to release this podcast, I'm scrolling social media as I doom scroll. And who else besides KFC from Barstool, the 1 Minute Man, he posts a clip from his podcast where he had the same take I had, but he probably did a way better job of throwing it out there. And now I'm like, well, now I am a copycat. Regardless of when I had it written down, you've got to execute first. I didn't execute first, right? A lot of people can have the game plan. I want to hit X amount of 3-pointers. Whoever hits those 3-pointers first, they're the first ones to get there. They get the credit. But if you didn't see his stuff, well then, hey, this is fresh for you. I've thought for a very long time as a Christmas lover and growing up in Venezuela where I grew up, where Christmas was important and New Year's Eve was crazy important. This week was always a really fun week growing up in Venezuela because this week, all these fireworks stands, all these fireworks stands would pop up on the sides of the streets in Venezuela. Little tiny things. We're not talking like a big fireworks stand with a big tent. We're talking 3x3 foot little shacks, shanties. What do you call that? It's not a shack. It's not that big. Little stands. And they just sold fireworks because everyone was gearing up for New Year's Eve. And it was just kind of this carryover from Christmas to New Year's Eve where it was just a celebration. And it was super low key. And I loved that growing up. And of course, when I was growing up there, I was in school. So I was on winter break. So I had nothing to do. But as I got older, I realized this week is the most important week for you because it is the week to take advantage of ultimate downtime. Okay? Ultimate downtime. So for me personally, this has always been video game week. Always been video game week. The week after Christmas is when I buckled down for the majority of my life until I had kids, and I would make sure to hammer out a game that I'd started and kind of left, undone, or start a new game and beat it in this week because I think it's huge. This is the reset your brain week. You just are coming off what to me is the best holiday. So I've got the post-Christmas hangover. And I'm going to get to New Year's, which I really like, but that kicks off January and February. I don't know. I don't know Lexington too well yet, but in Spokane, where I was, bitter cold, snow was lingering around. It wasn't the cute, fresh snow. It was the disgusting, gross, half-melted berms of ice, and it was not pretty, and it was cold and annoying, and those months stink. And New Year's just meant here comes 2 sucky weeks of heading into work and just kind of maneuvering around your day-to-day life. So this week, a lot of businesses, not super actively, they're open. A lot of businesses are open. A lot of businesses are not open. It's a down week. So it's always video game week for me. I would recommend this week, because I know not everyone who listens is a video game person. This is book week. This is binge that TV show you've wanted to watch. Get your free week of Apple TV Plus. That notification's been popping up on your phone for months. Get that free week, or free however, of Apple TV Plus. Go binge Shrinking. Go watch Severance. Go watch Ted Lasso if you haven't seen it. Like, binge the shows right now. Get your free week of Netflix. Get on there and watch Arcane. Binge your shows this week. No one will judge you. The people who judge you, they're going to find, if someone's judging you this week for being extremely lazy and just recharging the battery in a maximum way, that person was going to make fun of you about something no matter what. So don't worry about them. The person who's like, oh, of course, just sitting around doing nothing. If you had done everything, they were going to be up your butt either way. So happy week after Christmas. Make sure you're making the most of it by doing the least amount possible. Video game wise, I'd recommend a game like Uncharted, any game from the Uncharted series, Red Dead Redemption 1 or 2, God of War 2018 is really good, and the sequel is really good. The Final Fantasy Rebirth and Remake have been really, really good. Skyrim's good. Go get yourself an old JRPG. Play one of the old Final Fantasies, like play 5 or 6, and just sit down and just log the hours into it. I know we're not all video game people here, but this is the week. Go get Balatro. This is also a week where if you are looking for the thing to do, go to YouTube, and if you're a book reader, if you're a TV watcher, if you're a movie person, if you're a video game person, just go to YouTube and type in best of 2024 in that category. YouTube is great for this because you are going to get a ton of people who are really passionate about the item you typed in, and they're going to give you really good recommendations on what to watch, what to read, what to listen to even. It's great for that. Okay, so there's my stolen take, and now I've stolen it back, and I am the person who is being the repeater. Let us wrap up the podcast, shall we?
Kelly's, what are you into?
This is going to lead into the real what am I into thing, but let's give Christmas a shout out. Christmas 2024 in the books. It was awesome. It was it was a kids' Christmas for us. Kids' Christmas. The kids really triumphed. Came out like kings and queens this Christmas as Huck and Olivia really got some good stuff. Woods got a couple little baby toys that make sound, but he loves them. He hit the age where if you can put some contraption in front of him that makes sound and he can get his mitts on it, he will hit at it until it makes the sound again. So he got just enough, 2 or 3 things that make sounds he's interested in. But the big kids, oh my gosh. Olivia had the what you see in movies, the glow in the eyes when she came downstairs, saw that Santa had left presents, realized she got to open them. Huck was opening things that she doesn't even care about, and her hype was through the roof. I forget what it was. We were at my in-laws, and I think it was cousin Grace, told her an item that she opened that Olivia has no idea what it is, and Olivia shrieked out loud and was like fist pumping in the air because she's just excited. She's excited anyone's getting anything that they like. It was really, really cute to watch all Christmas Day. It was really awesome. So she got some cool stuff, and it was wild because my kids normally wake up. Huck normally wakes up between 6 and 6:30. Olivia between 6:45 and 7. They both slept in till 7:10 on Christmas. It was the latest they slept in December, which was wild. The night before, they're maximum excited, and they slept in the longest because they wore themselves out being excited. So that was great. Day started. We did our presents at home, and then went over to my in-laws for a brunch, opened some presents there. It was wild because there's a lot of grandkids all under the age of, what are they all under the age of? 12? All under the age of 10, 12 years old. And it's a lot of them, and there's a lot going on. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of hubbub. So that was chaotic. And then I actually came home with the big kids while Woods was at a nap at the in-laws, and I built toys. I set up toys. And then it was the thing where no one could really play with their toys alone. And so it was the constant, Dad, can you put this car down the Hot Wheels track? Dad, can you put these new clothes that I got for my doll on my doll? Dad, can you build something with the bricks? Dad, can you, it was just, can you do this? I'm like, guys, they're your toys. Play with them. My Kelly's, what are you into? I got a Kindle from my wife, which is awesome. I had a Kindle a very long time ago. Somebody spilt water on it. I'm not gonna say who. Somebody spilled a bunch of water on it and it broke. The screen, I remember the screen had half of the screen just disappeared. And so you could read, if you wanted to, you could read a half of a book, but in a really weird way. Because you could read from page 1 to page 300, but you could just read the top half of each page. So it's different than, if you can only read the first half of the book or second half of the book, you actually get hints as to what happens the whole way through. You're just missing a weird half of the book. So I had that Kindle. That was broken. My wife got me a new one. And once I got it into my hands, I forgot how much I love a Kindle. Oh my gosh, I love a Kindle. I read so many books when I had my Kindle before, and I can already feel me being drawn to this new one. I was reading it during commercial breaks of the Seahawks game. That's how much I like it. You know how much you can read from me anyways during a commercial break? Not a lot. But I was taking advantage taking advantage of those commercial breaks. We got a weird illness. We're always sick in the Widmer house. Always. We got a nice little cold coming back through the house. Oh, such a treat. Such a treat. If you would have been at my in-laws' house on Christmas, all it was every single child coughing. Every one of them. It was not like there was just one person coughing and you're like, oh no. Every single person under the age of 10 was coughing. Everyone. So that was great. So it was inevitably going to make it to a couple parents. And I'm one of the parents who has got that. But I got my Kindle. I was so thankful for that for my wife. Very excited about that. And all I want to do is do Kindle stuff. And here I am setting toys up. But I wanted to give a shout out to Hot Wheels. Hot Wheels has stayed awesome since forever. Stayed awesome through all the generations. From when I was a kid and I loved Hot Wheels, and Kenny Beefus and me, we would take Hot Wheels tracks off this 3-foot stage in an auditorium at our school. We'd set 2 Hot Wheel tracks side by side. Kenny probably had 50 to 100 Hot Wheels cars. He had a ton. I remember feeling like it was a million. And we would separate them. We would draft them. So he'd take 25, I'd take 25. And then we would one by one race 2 cars at a time, side by side down the Hot Wheel track. They'd go into this open auditorium, and whatever car went the furthest, they stayed in the tournament. We did this until there was 1 car standing, and it would take up 2 hours of our time. We loved that as kids. And now Hot Wheels has stayed awesome because my son all afternoon yesterday and all day today, he played with his new Hot Wheels cars and his big Hot Wheels Ultimate Garage that he got. And they're so great. My daughter, who was dialed in on her Barbie stuff, dialed in on her makeup stuff, she even left that because she could see how much fun the Hot Wheels were. She came over and she's like, okay, Huck, I'm going to need 2 cars, and I'm the good guys. You're the bad guys. Let's do races. And it was great. So shout out to Hot Wheels for making it happen. Okay, Christmas was awesome, though, overall. I think it's just going to get better and better. Really excited for Woods to get old enough to be involved in it because I think we're going to have a sweet spot there. As right now, Olivia's 5, Woods is 0. So I think there's going to be a sweet spot maybe when Olivia's 9, 10, 11, 12, where the presents are still really awesome. And they're awesome longer, but I think they're still a little more magical for Olivia. Like she'll be towards the tail end of really the magic part of it. And Woods will be right in the middle of it. And I think those years are going to be insane. But don't wish the years away, Sean. Don't wish him away. You know what? I'm not wishing him away. I'm just excited for him. Get out of here. Also, there's some days where I wish the years away. And you know what? You're just going to have to deal with that. Because some days I look at my children and go, you need me to wish these days away right now, or I will be very irritated with the amount of times you guys have said poopy diarrhea. After I said, hey, stop with the potty words. Poopy diarrhea. Stop with the potty words. Stop with poopy diarrhea. Okay. Yes, you are saying the same exact thing I just said to your mother when talking about somebody, but I'm an adult. So stop copying me. Crying out loud. Let's read some comments. I think there were some comments, so let's get to those. You can leave your comments over at seanslife.com. You can leave your comments on Spotify if you listen there, or on YouTube. You can always go watch on YouTube and leave a comment there. I think we had some at multiple places. Let me pull them all up here. Did we have one on the website? No, nothing on seanslife.com. I'm closing that one. Did we have some on Spotify? I believe so. Let's see what we've got here. These might have been from last week's episode. But Kimmers had some things in regards to something I talked about. Hang on a second. The illness. Kimmers had something that we talked about a couple weeks ago with how do you get your kids to open up about school and what did they do at school, because my kids act like they did nothing. And then I go to a Christmas pageant. They've done maximum amount of learning. And Kimmer said, here's some kids after school questions. What was the best thing that happened at school today? I'm going to try it. and then learn some of the kids' names. Was such and such, was little Jimmy funny? Was he helpful? Was he kind? And how did you help your teacher today? These are great questions. Kimmers, I'm going to use both of them. We know a lot of the kids' names at school. That's one thing my daughter will tell us is everyone's name because she is very social. So we know everyone's name, and then we don't know what they do. Yvonne said this. She liked Kimmer's comments. She said, those are good questions. And then she went on to say, my favorite board game we got as kids was Monopoly, but as an adult, Scattergories. Scattergories, great game. Let's clarify something with Scattergories. If you are stretching the word, stop. Don't be that person. Don't be that person who sees a category and is trying to do the double letter thing, or you're just desperate for a word. So you write something down that's beyond gray area, doesn't actually fit the category, but then you're going to fight to the death about it. This is a game. It's okay if you lose. And this game is way more fun if you're honest about the fact that, you know what, I didn't actually have an answer. And that's okay. That's how the game's supposed to work. This is not a life or death situation. Please don't waste our time by arguing dumb answers that you forced into a category. Categories is great if you're with people who aren't doing that. It's a great game. And Yvonne, Monopoly was my favorite game through elementary school, through high school. Easily my favorite game. My best friend Micah Huffman and I, we played it nonstop. Real rules. We didn't do any of the fakey stuff. Occasionally we would bring in free parking. Occasionally we'd put the money in the middle from free parking. But otherwise, we were real rules most of the time. Yvonne went on to say, enjoy your Christmas. Sorry about the radon thing. It is real. A couple of places I looked had the radon tube when we were looking for a house over 8 years ago. And she said, are we going to get trivia soon? Yes, we're going to get trivia soon. I actually wrote trivia last week, and then we were radoned out of the basement. And so I didn't get to record anything last week at all. Nothing. And then this week, pure chaos. It has been pure chaos. We've had stuff. I'm going to do it. Let's do it tomorrow. Can we do trivia? Can I record the trivia tomorrow? That'd be kind of fun. A little late week to kick off this week of do nothing. Let's do it. All right, let's see if there's anything on Spotify. What do we got here? Where are they? The comments. I feel like there was something on there. From Roberta. Oh, here we go. Yeah, from Roberta. She said this. Glad to know all is well health-wise with the Widmers. A little worried with no pods going up. Yep, radon is here, too, if you have basements. It is naturally occurring, and I laughed when you said you should have called Kenny. I should have called Kenny. He seems like the guy who would know that. Yes, Roberta, health-wise, I guess we're all right. We're all sick, but that's not what kept the pods, kept me away from the pods. That was us avoiding, apparently, what's imminent death, radon. Just instant kill, radon. So that was it. We were radoned out. Okay, thank you for listening today. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for the people who leave comments. Thank you for the people who reach out and say they enjoyed the podcast. My buddy Jeremy, he messaged me and said he enjoyed the Christmas pod. Ian messaged me about the Christmas pod. So thank you to the people who are listening. It means a lot. I hope your week of doing nothing is great. And I hope you do nothing. And I hope you do something fun that is nothing. And if you do, let me know what it is. Let me know what show you binge or what book you read or a video game you play. Let me know. Take advantage of it because January is coming and we're all going to be at work ticked off about how cold it is and how dark it is and how we're a long way away from Christmas or summer. Have a good day.